Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. During the time of the Clone Wars, there were two main threats controlling the Separatist forces, Count Dooku and General Grievous. Dooku himself was more of a politician and presented himself to the public as a Separatist ambassador who only wanted freedom for the Confederate systems. Grievous, however, was the droid's supreme commander over the entire CIS military. He was an absolute monstrosity that the Jedi very frequently came into contact with over the course of the Long War. Almost every Jedi, except of course Anakin Skywalker. It is rather curious as to why the hero of the Clone Wars and Anakin had never interacted with the villain of it during the entirety of the conflict. The now infamous conversation between Anakin and Grievous on the Invisible Hand during the events of Revenge of the Sith lets us know that they had never actually met in person before this event.
And Anakin Skywalker, I was expecting someone with your reputation to be a little older.
General Grievous, you're shorter than I expected.
Grievous was astounded and maybe even a little insulted at how young Anakin was despite his reputation, and of course, Anakin couldn't help but respond with a little smirk of his own in saying that Grievous was much shorter than he expected. The Clone Wars lasted a whole 3 years, from the year 22 to 19 BBY. In that time, it would be Obi-Wan Kenobi that often found himself on the wrong side of the droid general's 4 lightsabers. But why is this? Despite the out-of-universe continuity reasons, what were the real story reasons that Grievous and Anakin never met on the battlefield? Well, today we actually have the answer to that question and how Sidious was directly involved. First though, on the Star Wars merch page there is a summertime sale where you can get 30% off, and if you use code WAVE at checkout you can get an additional 10% off, so 40% off your entire order. If you're interested in any of the designs you see here, the link is in the description. Now, let us begin and answer the question. To understand why Anakin and Grievous never met on the battlefield, we of course must track it back to Darth Sidious Palpatine. Sidious, who was controlling both sides of the war the entire time, was strategically making moves for either side in order to perfectly craft his ultimate plan. This whole war was a big chess game against himself, and everyone on the board was just a piece to be moved around. Sidious used Dooku most notably very carefully, and instructed him to do very specific things. Dooku was his political scapegoat and scalpel, and direct underling when it came to dealing with the Separatists. Grievous, however, Sidious regarded as a mad feral dog. He was undisciplined, difficult to control, and above all else, an unreliable coward. Grievous was better used whenever he could simply be pointed at a target and taken off of his leash. This target happened to be a lot of the time, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kenobi always had the biggest roadblock to Palpatine because of the fact that he had a great connection with Anakin Skywalker, and therefore Palpatine wanted him gone. As his mentor, Anakin would look up to Kenobi as he represented his would-be anchor in the light side. This was of course until Palpatine began his manipulation of the Chosen One, subtly and slowly inspiring fear, doubt, and resentment towards the Jedi and his own master in Kenobi. Playing the long game, Palpatine knew that he had to be careful and not tip his hand too much to Anakin. The other thing was, he knew that he had to get Kenobi off of the board entirely, as he held a huge part of why Anakin remained cemented in the light side, and he didn't slip into Vader and his persona too often. Because of this, killing Obi-Wan Kenobi became a major goal of Darth Sidious over the course of the war. But he couldn't do it directly, he had to go about it by other means. Firstly, he had Dooku's assassin Ventress set on Kenobi for a long time, and when that didn't work because of Ventress's repeated failures and inability to nail down the Jedi Master, Sidious unleashed his greatest weapon on him in Grievous. Up till this point, Grievous had been proving himself to be a capable Jedi killer, but soon his cowardice would begin to show anytime he was unable to secure an absolute easy victory. As a result, he spent far more time running from Kenobi than actually fighting him, although the two crossed blades many times over the course of the war. As far as Anakin went, however, Palpatine didn't want his prized pupil to be damaged too soon. He had allowed Dooku to sever the boy's arm to teach him what it means to have something taken from him and to want revenge for it. But make no mistake, he was under direct orders from Palpatine not to kill Anakin under any circumstance. Dooku was refined, wise, and easier to control. Palpatine knew that he could trust Dooku to hold back if he requested it when fighting Anakin, even though at the time Dooku was the superior combatant. Both times Palpatine was present during Dooku and Anakin's duels, the first in the Clone Wars and the second on the Invisible Hand. Sidious had instructed Dooku to hold back on Anakin and goad him into the dark side so that Sidious could observe Anakin's strength and anger firsthand. Dooku was an enemy that Palpatine could control utterly. Grievous, however, wouldn't be able to take such instruction. He was far too much of a brute to understand the subtleties of manipulation and the grand scheme of the Sith. Grievous absolutely would not know how to hold back. Even a little could mean certain defeat against any Jedi. Palpatine didn't have a gauge for Anakin's skill until much closer towards the end of the Clone Wars, and didn't want Anakin being spoiled because of Grievous's barbarity. Of course, as he did see what Anakin was truly capable of, he ceased to have any doubt in his mind that he could overcome Grievous, and then he would voice his opinion. Though Anakin to the Jedi Council that he believed Anakin should be the one to take down Grievous on Utapau, and Palpatine laying the seed within the young Anakin's mind, with Palpatine at the time fully well knowing that Anakin would have bested Grievous. As we know though, the Council rejected this idea, and instead elected Obi-Wan Kenobi to take the mission since he had far more experience with the droid general than anybody else. This too worked in Palpatine's favor, as although Anakin wouldn't be able to kill Grievous, something far more important had taken place. Anakin now held even more resentment for the Jedi after not being allowed the rank of Master, and not being allowed to kill General Grievous and prove himself. Furthermore, it was threefold, as now Anakin was separated from his master since Obi-Wan was going to kill Grievous. But to answer the question blatantly, the reason why Anakin Skywalker was essentially not allowed to duel General Grievous over the course of the Clone Wars was because Palpatine directly deemed it so. He knew that he wanted Anakin as his prize, and he knew that he could trust Dooku not to kill Anakin, but he knew that if even General Grievous got lucky under certain circumstances, the entire plan to have the Chosen One become a Dark Lord of the Sith would have been spoiled. If Grievous got lucky whatsoever, he could have ruined everything. Not to mention, Palpatine believed that a General Grievous at the beginning of the Clone Wars would have absolutely been a match for Anakin, and Palpatine wanted to ensure that the power of Anakin Skywalker was enough that it could eclipse General Grievous before he ever let the two of them encounter one another. Make no mistake, Anakin as a Jedi Padawan likely would have lost to General Grievous, as General Grievous is perhaps the second most fearsome Jedi killer in all of galactic history, and it did take some time for Anakin to catch up to this monstrosity's power. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this little piece of Star Wars lore? What are your thoughts on why Palpatine refused to let General Grievous duel Anakin Skywalker for the majority of the Clone War? And what are your thoughts on his ability to control Dooku and not Grievous? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the channel. May the Force be with you, and I hope that you have a great day.